Mr. President, my cabinet colleagues, directors of Gaisuku, workers, brothers and sisters, first of all, permit me to thank His Excellency the President for leading this delegation and allowing us to be here with you this morning. One must be of a special mental makeup to describe an industry, to describe an operation that provides sustenance and livelihood for tens of thousands of people, village economies across a large geographic expanse, and providing only source of hope for communities upon communities. To describe such an operation as a black hole, you must have a special mental makeup. A mental makeup that disqualifies you forever from becoming part of the management of any government or country. And it is that precise mental makeup that you rejected in 2020, and you put them out of government. Now, I have witnessed some events recently that caused me to reflect upon that old saying, those who forget their past or their history are bound to repeat them. And when I saw the actions and the utterances from a couple of sugar workers in the picket line, it caused me to reflect upon that statement. And I want to use this opportunity to belabor, and I use that term advisedly, to belabor certain historical facts because we seem to forget them. First of all, there is no grouping, political or otherwise, that has had a longer relationship with the sugar workers of this country than the People's Progressive Party CIVIC. And that goes back to the days of the Enmore martyrs, even before the formation of the PPP. And then throughout those dark days of the political dictatorship, it was the PPP that stood on the side of the working people, in particular the sugar workers. When you couldn't get your union of your choice to represent you, it was the PPP that led that battle for GAO to be recognized in the 70s. When we got into government, every single year we ensured safety and sustenance of the sugar industry. When the European Union withdrew their subsidies from sugar, the PPP took this industry upon its shoulders and walked it to safety. Ifraan Ali, as Minister of Housing, was taken to the Privileges Committee. They wanted to jail him because he took $4 billion from the housing fund to transfer it to ensure the safety and survival of the sugar industry. When we lost the majority in the parliament after the 2011 elections, every year, budget after budget, they cut all subsidy that we put in the budget for sugar. They cut it to $1. They cut every budgetary allocation to sugar to $1. And they came to the other lines. Nagamutu, they sent Nagamutu and Ramjatan to the order lines to tell you how much they will increase your salary and wages. And to tell you, while they were cutting the budget for sugar, to tell you that they will not close sugar and that they will ensure the viability of sugar. That was their campaign theme on the question of sugar. And some people believed them, and they voted, and they voted them into government. And what happened? One day we were sitting in the parliament, and the announcement came Not a word of consultation with you. Not a word of consultation with your union. Not a word of consultation with the leader of the opposition. They made an announcement that Wales will be closed. 2,100 sugar workers immediately knocked off. And then they moved to this estate and the other estates in Berbice. Just like that, they put thousands of you on the breadline. They did it in such a callous way, not a week notice, not an hour notice. One day you had a job, your children were going to school, you had loan to pay, you had box hand to throw, you owe courts installment, and you have your income that you know was assured. And one night you go to bed, and next morning you go wake up into a completely different world. You wake up bankrupt. You wake up unable to put food on the table for your children, unable to send them to school, unable to pay your light bill. I remember the PPP coming into the sugar communities, and we listened to the cries and the woes. Fathers were committing suicide because they couldn't sustain their children. They couldn't feed their children. They couldn't send them to school. They couldn't pay their light bill. They were hanging themselves. They were drinking poison. They were migrating to Suriname. The PPP walked these communities. We partnered with organizations, religious groups, charitable organizations in the diaspora, and we arranged hamper drives. We arranged meals, and we distribute them across the length and breadth of this country. When we raise the issue in Parliament, many of you can still go to Facebook and hear the response of Kemraj Ramjatan. He said, we want them to pump money into areas because you vote for us. Not because you're human beings, not because you're Guyanese, not because you're entitled to a life and employment, but because you are PPP, he says, you must not get a cent. That is on the public record. And when they knock you off, when they dismiss the workers, the laws of this country obliges them to pay severance. They refuse to pay severance. Ashton Chase and yours truly, we filed several class actions because there were thousands of workers. You couldn't file individual actions. We filed class actions. And they retained lawyers. They didn't go to the court and accept that the workers were entitled to severance. They took lawyers, Ralph Ramkaran, let me call his name, Cameron and Shepard, and they defended those cases. We had to put submissions in. We had to put legal arguments in. The case took nearly a year, and then we got judgment. When we got judgment, now they refuse to honor the judgment. They refuse to honor the judgment, and all the time, you were languishing. You were suffering from deprivation and almost starvation. And they were twiddling their thumbs. In the meanwhile, you heard Sister Ryan say that they transfer all the assets of Guy Sukut and Isil. They took a $30 billion loan. A $30 billion loan. The largest domestic borrowing we had since independence. And up to that, they took that money purportedly to invest it in the industry. After they were granted the facility, they closed down the industry. And we don't know what they did with the money. 17 billion of which they withdrew. Their own agriculture minister, when he was in the parliament and was asked, where is the money? He can't answer, he said he doesn't know. So we still have to account for $17 billion. But let me get back to the court matter. They took over a year before they decide to honor that court order. By the time that interest accrued, they refused to pay you interest on your own money. We had to go back to the court again. and get another order compelling them to pay interest. And then we had to get an order directing somebody to go to jail before they pay that interest. During those days, we used to come to Berbice on a regular basis. Right here in Kanji, I attended several meetings organized by the PPP where we explained to you the conditions under which we were operating. When we sat, I sat with many of the workers, with Gau, with our regional chairman, and many other leaders of the PPP, and we discussed who will stay on, who will take up a job at Blairmont, and the consequences and the ramifications. We worked all of that out, several meetings in Kanji here, and some at number 19 village. And there was consensus among the workers. Who will stay on? Who will take severance? Who will accept a lesser pay? Who will go to Blairmont? And who will take transfer from factory to field, etc. All of that was discussed. And I, to my utter shock, I am hearing now about at the protest line, I am hearing a completely distorted factual narrative. The people want back severance, though they were working all the time, they want severance. How can you get that? We had agreed who will go back to work. Some people said they're going to do gardening. Some people said they're going to start a business. Somebody started a workshop. Some said, I will stay at this estate. Some said they will go to Blairmont. And that is how the thing was amicably discussed and positions arrived at. No, it was not good. It was not bed of roses. But everybody knew the sacrifices. And everybody made those sacrifices. And that's why I am so shocked when I hear, and I don't want to use the word ungrateful and ingratitude. But it is when I listen to that, what I'm hearing there on the television and these protest actions, it causes me to reflect, because I was part of it. And those very faces, they asked to continue working, knowing full well that they will not get severance, because since then, Comrade Bharat Jagdev, as leader of the opposition, had said that once we get back into government, the severed sugar workers will receive some financial benefits. We said that from since we were in the opposition. And when we're delivering on that promise now, you hear all kind of backbiting and backstabbing taking place. So comrades, and I always say to the sugar workers, you will cost the PPP from now till thy kingdom come. And let me tell you something. When push comes to shove, it's the PPP that will always be standing for and with you. Must always remember that. And history has shown that. 70 years of independent history has shown that whatever befall you, whatever befall the workers of this country, whether they are the bauxite workers, whether they are the public servants, whether they are the police, the army, all may not vote for us, but we stand on the side of the working people. Check every one of our policy, every one of our budget, every one of our plan. They have a human element and component. So brothers and sisters, this is indeed a happy occasion for us to be here with you and to celebrate the achievements that we have made in this estate alone. I recall I used to travel here to do the television program at NTN. And you know, you live here. This was a junkyard. People used to drive in here and buy metal. All the contractors that used to buy scrap metal, they used to sell out the whole place. Zulfi talk about the pond rotten. Half of the pond sell out. They sell out, people make VAT and all kind of thing with them. They used to have yard sale here on a regular basis. Anybody car or truck broke down, they come in here. They bribe somebody and they get a part and they gone. That was what was going on here. And you live here, so you mustn't throw that under the, don't turn a blind eye to it. That is what the PPP has converted and made this. You hear the engine here, says the right there? They are all working smoothly. That is our legacy. That is our track record. Right here. We're not going beyond this compound. Right here. We take disaster and we make it into fortune. And that is the track record of the People's Progressive Party. And I thought I would remind you of that. Thank you very much.